Well, hello everyone. I don't need to introduce myself, do I? My name is Adebanjo Oriadi. I'm the physics professor here. I come from Nigeria originally and earned a degree at the University of Delaware before coming over here. It's my pleasure to welcome Lord our Chancellor. Have I pronounced that right? So I'll miss you. Give us a talk. She'll be talking for 15 to 20 minutes. I am not doing more than telling you her name. I'll let her introduce herself in some more detail. So, welcome.
Today we come together to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. It's important to remember that we are celebrating the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. The distinction between the man and the dream. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great leader and a great man, but I would guess too that he would want us to remember the dream and celebrate the dream and just remember the man. Dr. King's dream brought about opportunities that are beyond measure for my generation, yours, and many generations to come. The thing to remember is that these opportunities are not etched in stone. Those opportunities for future generations are dependent on what we do today. There are several questions and directives I'll pose to you as I speak today. Whether or not you become a dream maker or a dream breaker is entirely up to you. In May of 1965, the Voters' Rights Bill was passed. One of the things I noted in the introduction in the video was the civil rights movement photos that were placed in there. As I think back, the first time I remember seeing or even hearing about the civil rights movement and watching the series on that was when I was a 9th grader in high school. And it was ironic because the teacher who taught me and who brought that to our 9th grade social studies class was from Puerto Rico. And that was ironic because I had 2 African American teachers before that. And I had never seen or even heard of what most of the civil rights movement was about. A lot of the things that we remember, and talk about it a little later in my speech as well, is we remember those big 3. We remember Martin, we remember Malcolm, and we remember Rosa Parks. However, as a youngster growing up, we were taught to believe that Rosa Parks was an elderly lady, and that's why she didn't want to give up her seat. Not that she was technically making a stand, but that she was too tired, and it wasn't fair that an old lady had to give up her seat. And so that changes the dynamics and what she actually done a little when you think about it. So, how many of you vote? How many know African Americans and Caucasian Americans were murdered so that we would have the right to vote? Mothers, fathers, friends, and families' lives were changed forever for a right that most of us don't even observe. His image. He had the best image. Now, arguably, Satchel Paige was a pitcher, and he was really good. And he would have actually, and you look, they got that documentary about the Negro Leagues, which is a very interesting thing, an interesting movie to see. But when you look at that, it was his image. And it had a lot to do with what he could come from. And they were talking a little bit about it. I seen a commentary the other day when they were talking about the presidential election about Barack Obama. Why is he possibly the perfect African-American president? Because of his image. He's biracial. He's got ties to another country. He's got this. He's got, a father from Africa, a mother from Kansas. I mean, how more American diverse can you get? And so it has a lot to do with how you present yourself, one. And what I say to them, and I worked in the criminal system, I worked as a probation officer, I was like, oh, I can't get a job. And I said, well, if you go in there smelling like you do now, I wouldn't give you a job either. So this is what we're going to do. This is what you need to do to make sure that when you go and you sit down in front of that person and you say, the only reason why you're not hiring me, the only reason why you're not giving me a fair grade, the only reason why you're not doing this is because I am an African American. And how do you make that statement? You go to class every day on time. You turn your assignments in every day on time like they're supposed to be. You pay attention. You ask questions. You go, if they tell you that you're not allowed to listen to your iPod in lecture, you turn your iPod off. They tell you don't bring your cell phone into class, you leave your cell phone out of class. And you do all of those things. And if you still are experiencing some of the prejudice that you're saying, then you come to me and we both go to that instructor, to that job, to whatever, and we tell them, this is what we have, and this is what we've seen. And so you build your case stronger by eliminating all the other possibilities that they can give as why you're not getting what it is you feel you deserve. Now, is that fair? No. Is that life? Yes. Man up. That's what you got to do. I mean, it's one thing and it's utopia to sit here and try to convince you that it shouldn't matter that she has on a sweatshirt, but she decided to wear dress clothes today. And, who cares? You're right. It may not be fair, but that's life. And unfortunately, if you prepare students to go in thinking that everything's going to be fair, you're preparing them for failure. You have to prepare them to become employable. You have to prepare them to be able to face things that may not be fair and to come out of it still being strong within themselves, but also knowing that this is what happens and what needs to happen and what needs to be done. I'm a generation of possibly some affirmative action things that have come about, and they say, well, you may have been hired because you were the only black person that applied. Maybe. You okay with that? Sure am. Why are you okay? Because I know I'm qualified. And if that's the reason why I got the job, that's fine. But my abilities are going to be the reason why I keep